we are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. And this is episode number 81. And I'm joined by Samael Fawzi. Good afternoon, sir. How's it going?
Good afternoon, man. It's very good to see you. I'm doing a pleasure to be on.
No, thank you. Thank you. Again, it's a little bit of an earlier podcast than usual. Hey, we're getting this done. We're getting it started.
Yes, sir.
And then we're getting it because this weekend is Project Codename Reload. So we're going to get into that.
Sir, yes, sir.
Before we get into that.
Yours truly, Scramble. I can't wait.
Definitely. Before we get into that, because we are going to talk a lot about the project in a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about you here. And before we get into all the questions I have to ask you that I ask everyone that comes on, and that is, you heard the name of the podcast, Respect the Craft. When you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you? And we lost Fawzi here. Just give us 1 sec, guys. So sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Thank you.
Can you hear us now? We're good?
You're perfectly fine.
Okay.
It seems like cut out.
Okay, all good. So before we get into the project and before we get into the question for you, I have to ask you the question I ask everyone that comes on. And you heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm very big when I hear Respect the Craft, and that pops in my mind. The people who came before me, people that made sure that I could business and leave my mark. Just the professional wrestling, like the first half is, how much
Just give us a few seconds, guys. I'm so sorry. But again, make sure you guys are at reload. And here we go. We keep losing it, brother.
excuse my language.
No, all good, man, all good. But so you were saying you're what the craft means for you.
People came before me, and there's all that good stuff. Like it's a lot. I think professional wrestling is about. A whole spiel about it, but like I said, it's just you put in the time and effort to your reputation, but into the dedication of the sport and all that stuff.
Got you. No, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about you, because I was able to see some of your work in the ring. Got to see you as well in the master class with Black G's. So I've gotten to see a little bit of your work. I'm glad to see how far you've come, also with how young you are in your career, which is funny because with me, I'm usually the young guy in the locker room, but I was seeing and I'm like, oh, okay. So now the young crop is coming up again as well. So
Yeah.
I have to ask you, how has that first full year been for you? How has that been? How is that with a lot of the matches you've gone already so young in your career? Uh-oh.
Yeah, sorry about that. I hope I'm not the only person that this has happened, and this is kind of embarrassing. Well, a lot of you.
It's all good. It's happened before, and again, we just roll with the punches here. It's all good.
So yeah.
So so let's get into that. Let's go into how has it been for you for the career so far? How has that first full year been in? How has that been feeling for you?
And like so fresh in, it's really surreal. I'm sure that's cliche to say, but so many people, years, 15 years, you know, the amount of, like I said earlier, into it is mind to be now kind of that, and the matches I've had already against the amount of that I've now noticed that goes in, it's really surreal matches. The fans, something I could never really have imagined, but I'm excited that it's happening and it'll keep going.
Oh, definitely so. Because even with that young career so far, you've had some insane opponents. Because you got to step in there with Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah,
You got to step in there with another, especially for the tri-state scene, independent legend Black G's in there.
yeah.
Like the list that goes on and on. And for you, how has that been, that experience to get in there? I can imagine it's always just learning from that craft in there.
Those two in particular, because of, again, you know, the you know, the G's almost 20 years, if not more. Too Cold, I mean, that's a guy who'll figure out different, you know, how to sell, but just both in particular really mind in terms of how wrestling, but just in life. Idea how much admiration I have.
Gotcha. No, definitely. And again, that has to be something as well, getting to learn under G's and get to see how, getting to show like, hey, this is what I've gotten to do. This is the improvement I've gotten throughout the time.
Yeah, it pop up and I'm like, no, not yet.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So let's also talk a little bit about that before we get into project here. I want to talk about what was it that got you to want to go trade and join Super Crazy and go down to the Skid Row Academy.
So 16 years old. Had just gotten Instagram. You know, I'm just all this wrestling stuff that I love on there. Page pops up, and I remember they were like looking for like students to, you know, and I'm like, yo, that's like a good place to start. So I'm immediately, you know, not understanding how I just, you know, just quick little, I have no prior experience, but be a part of the facility. And so I'm like, so then about a year later, I'm doing music production, and, you know, I get the hook up, coincidentally meeting the, and you know, here we are.
And again, it shows how crazy situations like that, and again, how time flies. And now, since then, you've held gold. It's super crazy. So it's been quite a growth, if you will. And we lost him again. Sorry about this, guys. Again, don't forget, later today we are going to be also talking to Homeless Vaughn. So it's gonna be it's a long day of podcast. And here we go. We got you back.
It was funny. He's gonna pop on again sooner or later. And yeah, we're doing project Codename, and then okay, that guy again.
It's all good. I'm just making sure anytime we have that dead air, I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna plug the show. Make sure we let everyone know about Saturday. Well, let's get into, you know what it is? I feel like that's what it is. It's the powers that be that want to make sure we finally talk about project. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the reason we're here. It is hashtag Project Week 3. Let's talk about you making your official hashtag the project debut this Saturday. It is going to be in the return of the Hot Start Scramble. And now, I've been informed a little bit. I got to speak to our lovely GM at the project, Miguel Sosa, earlier today. And I was informed that even my guest later on today, a man you know very well, Homeless Vaughn, isn't a part of the scramble anymore. So
Okay.
you and him will not have to square off that night, which I can imagine that saves you from having to smell Homeless Vaughn. Because I saw the promo and I was like, there is quite a stench. It came through the monitor a little bit. I was like, I'm
Advantage of me. We for uh he's okay. I don't really have a but you know, he's been real horrible. Like he just finds me.
no. Okay. I'm gonna try something, guys.